robust show, so many different things to talk about. Who are some of the guests we have coming up this morning, Phil?
A Cheryl Wynn is here to talk about their new exciting lottery game. Looking forward to talking with my old friend DeSante, now DeSante Small. And May, of course, is Arthritis Awareness Month. So we'll hear from Dr. Neil Parker about treatment of this very serious condition.
Listen, both of those subjects hitting home for me. One, DeSante may be your old/current friend, but she's been my friend forever, and I get to call her Soror, so I'm looking forward to that. That's Cruz's Gotti. And so, yes, I will claim dibs on that one, Phil. And then Dr. Parker talking about arthritis. I've got aging people around me that I love and care about, and so I think it's an important conversation for us to start the signs. And interestingly enough, it's my understanding that arthritis also affects young people in some instances, rarely, but it does. So that should be a great conversation with him as well. And speaking of doctors, Phil, I've got our good friend, Dr. Pinto, on the show. And he's going to be actually talking to us about how men can lower the risk of prostate cancer. So that should be a very good conversation as well. And then, of course, that robust conversation that we promised around the budget could only bring in certain people to have that conversation. So always happy to welcome Gowan Bo back. And he's going to be here along with Hubert Edwards. And we're going to be talking about what that budget communication means.
Yeah, real true heavyweights in the industry. They break it down quite simply for all of us. Again, Garwin, I like to call him Mr. President. He seems to be heading everything. And of course, Hubert, very insightful, so full of wisdom. So again, start looking forward to that conversation you're going to have with them.
Certainly. So it's going to be a great morning on Bahamas and Sunrise, as you can tell. So stay with us, call a friend, text a friend, tell them that we're on channel 212, but also on our Facebook and YouTube pages. We are live. So come and join the conversation. Before we get into any more of it, we're going to take a first look at weather with Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Good morning, Bahamas. In your first look at weather at Sunrise, high pressure continues to be the dominant weather feature across the islands with dry and very warm conditions. Today, lots of sunshine, very warm. Chance of a few showers, high temperature 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, you can expect a few clouds around on the mild side, and there's a slight chance of underpassing showers. You look going down to 73 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's regional highs and lows across the Caribbean. Barbados 84 and 78. In Jamaica, 82 and 71. In Trinidad, 87 and 76. And the Caicos Islands, 88 and 74. Across North America, Atlanta, 87 and 70. In Raleigh, 89 and 67. In Miami, 88 and 74. Dallas, Texas, 80 and 71. And Toronto, Canada, 54 and 45. In your outlook for the weekend, lots of sunshine, very warm temperatures, chance of country passing showers, but by Monday, little moist and stable air mass will cause some showers and thunderstorms across the islands starting Monday through Thursday. So rest week ahead of us. Temperature daytime will be in the upper 80s, at nighttime in the low to mid 70s. That puts you off for your first look at weather at Sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Phil.
First, it's more than just our name, more than just our achievements. It's our nature, and it's where we put our customers. At Bahamas First, we've refreshed our look, but our nature remains the same. We design insurance solutions that protect our customers from life's uncertainties. Whatever they may be, we equip you for the future so that you can recover stronger. Bahamas First, what's first for you comes first for us.
The Bahamas and the world has been waging the war against COVID-19 for over a year now. In that time, much of our daily life has been irreversibly changed by lockdowns, job losses, and deaths in our families. As facial masking, hand sanitizing, and social distancing have become the new norm, the team at Doctors Hospital applauds the Bahamian public for doing your part to control and contain the spread of the COVID-19 virus. It is time to take the fight a step further. With the COVID-19 vaccine now available, we encourage Bahamians to continue the fight and do your part in getting vaccinated. Please continue to be vigilant, wear a mask, and social distance. For more information on the COVID-19 vaccine, visit www.doctorshosp.com. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Can you believe it's June already? And on Wednesday of next week, June 2nd, the most exciting Bahamian lottery game show, shall I say ever, will be launched. And here to discuss this with us and make sure, you see what I did with that? You're ready to play and win our Desante Small Marketing Manager, a sure win, and Jenny Mezzador, Store Operations Manager. Ladies, good morning. Welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. You see, I'm doing this play on words thing this morning just to make sure that I keep up with you guys this morning.
Yeah, that's really a good thing.
Yes,
good morning. We are so happy to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you. Glad to have you. So tell us, okay, so next week, Wednesday, we're starting this new thing, and I believe it's called a Sure Pick.
Yes, it's Sure Pick. It is our very own lotto. We have basically developed the very first Bahamian themed lotto. And we are super excited about what this will bring to Bahamians, that they'll be able to play, Bahamian themed houses, which means is that instead of playing Miami or New York or Chicago, they'll be playing one of the family islands, Grand Bahama, Rum Key, San Salvador. So this game, this lotto that's available every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week, every 30 minutes, this particular lottery game will afford Bahamians to play Bahamian houses and win in a very Bahamian way. And we are very excited about this.
Well, Bahamians, we love to win, right? So how does it literally work? I mean, for those who may be novices out there who've never participated in a lotto.
Okay, so you have an opportunity to place a bet, whether it's online or in one of our 16 stores. And when you come in, you can place a bet anywhere from 25 cents up until, help me out, Jenny, 50? There we go.
50.
Yeah, 50. There you go. All right. And then you're able to play a 3-ball or 4-ball, which means 3 numbers or 4 numbers. You can play it straight, which is as you provide the number, that's how you will play it, or box it, which gives you an opportunity to mix it up if it falls that way. And then you just stay tuned based on when you have your drawing to see if you won. And we really hope that you win. Next week, we're actually launching, and Jenny has all of the great details for you.
Well, Jenny, that's your cue.
Well, next week we will be launching, which is June 2nd. It's going to be the big, exciting day where our customers will have the opportunity to log on online to join us in the watch party, which will allow them to win up to $100,000. And so I am inviting everyone, new, old, young, come on and play with us and see how you can win up to $100,000. Once again, it's going to be exciting because it's our very own. Never in the Bahamas have you had this, So we're excited about this.
So this is customized and made just for Bahamian entertainment, Bahamian themed, all the rest of that stuff. I think, Sandy, you said there were like 16 locations. Jenny, is it a location-based type of play, or as you said, you can do this online?
Yes, you can do it online. We have our islands. We have 13 locations here that you can go in. But if you prefer to sit at home and enjoy your comfort and play online, then that's even better. And then we have 3 on the outer islands, which is Harbor Island, Exuma, and the Berry Islands.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a TV show. There's a TV show that's happening next week.
Live.
All right.
So we're going to be, so next week, Wednesday, June 2nd, we start with the pre-show at 8:30. We have live entertainment by Lady E and D-Mac and other Bahamian entertainers. Then we kick off the show at 9 p.m. until 11 with prizes and surprises, Bahamian themed game show. So we've taken some of the, your favorites and we've put a Bahamian twist on them. Ozzy is our host, and we're super excited about that, along with Alex Kaufman, and we have our special DJ Ignite. And so throughout the night, you would see persons on the stage win over 100,000, and then at home, like Jenny shared, our viewing audience would have a chance to win 100,000 as well. And so this game show is going to be live. It's going to be lively, and it's sure going to be a lot of winning on June 2nd. Man,
that sounds like that sounds great. Jenny, man, why should people choose a sure win? I mean, now it's gaming, it's entertainment. I feel this energy coming through the screen from you sitting back this morning.
You know what? Our tagline is the sure way to win. And so now it is a sure way to win. So you're watching your number fall every 30 minutes, and you're not limited to now. You have 24 houses added on to what we already have, which would give you a total of 98 or 97 houses right now. Yeah. And so it's limited. And so you can just play any time of the day from 7 a.m., 12 p.m., 12 a.m. Yeah. We just roll in.
So anybody can? I mean,
you have to be 18 and over. That's the only specification. To game in the Bahamas, you have to be 18 and over. Whether you have an account with us or not, you can definitely play. But to play online, you must have an account. That is super important. So if you don't have an account, just visit one of our stores. We'll be happy to serve you.
Yeah. So for the TV show, where is it going? Which channel? Where can we do it?
On ZNS, Cable 12. We'll be on Facebook, and we'll be on AssureWin.com. AssureWin.com.
What time?
Oh, the pre-show starts at 8:30, and then we go live at 9.
All right. Okay. Well, that sounds really great. I mean, anything else you'd like to say? How can people find out more about AssureWin? I mean...
Well, I will encourage everyone that has any questions, they could WhatsApp us. We've made it very easy for them to access questions. It's 818-SURE. So it's very easy to remember. And you can just WhatsApp us with any questions you have, and we'll be happy to serve you.
All right, Jenny, final question for you, the store operations manager. What's the vibe like? What's the atmosphere? I mean, for persons who don't know about AssureWin, I mean, what is it that they can see and experience?
We are fun. As you can see, I am live in my AssureWin shirt this morning because I'm ready to go up there and game my customers. And we are family oriented. We love our people, our customers. Oh man, you just would have to come in and enjoy it and experience the momentum that we provide.
All right, good stuff. All right, Asante Small, marketing manager, AssureWin, and Jenny Mezzador, store operations manager, AssureWin. Ladies, thank you so much for being here on Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, great. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
Our world has changed. Many businesses have been closed for months with little or no access to their customers until now. Rev Media can help you remain connected to your customers. Our trusted customized advertising packages and personalized consultants will provide your business with immeasurable support during this challenging time. Your customers are already watching. Rev Media can help you to remain connected. Call us today. Let us help you.
Doctors Hospital is proud to introduce the Loyalty Advantage Membership Program, or LAMP. LAMP offers medical service discounts to new and existing Doctors Hospital patients. With membership starting as low as $20 per month, LAMP benefits include fee waivers for insured patients, discounts on inpatient and outpatient services, access to free imaging services, and much more. For a full list of benefits or to sign up for LAMP, visit doctorshosp.com/LAMP. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Thank you so much for staying with us. We are so happy now to be speaking with our good doctor. There's only one doctor that we bring on to talk about all things urology care. And that, of course, is the head of Urology Care Bahamas, Dr. Gregory Pinto. And in 2019, Dr. Pinto, the World Health Organization data showed that 200 Bahamian men were diagnosed with prostate cancer. So we wanted to find out from you if there was anything that we could do about this. So welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise, and looking forward to our conversation this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, as always, and good morning to my daughter, Gia. Yeah, so unfortunately, there are many things that we can do about it. We can't change everything. So the greatest risk factors for developing prostate cancer happen to be advancing age. So if we're blessed with getting into our 80s, into our 90s, it's almost inevitable we're going to get prostate cancer. But even if we do, it's unlikely if you reach that age that prostate cancer is going to be the cause of your death. You'll probably die of natural causes before the prostate cancer really has time to progress. The other great risk factor, unfortunately, is being of African ancestry. Again, that's not something we can change. So the disease itself is found to be a different entity. It's a more aggressive form that afflicts men of African ancestry at a younger age. Genetics are also something that we can change. Particularly in this country, we have a high risk of BRCA gene mutations. That's breast cancer-related gene mutations, type 1 and type 2. If you have BRCA gene 2 mutation, your risk of developing prostate cancer by the age of 70 is almost inevitable. It's 8 times versus not having the BRCA gene 2 mutation. So if you have a strong family history of prostate cancer, or females, mothers, sisters, aunts, grandmothers who have breast cancer, it might be a very good idea to do some genetic profiling to determine if you are, in fact, BRCA gene 1 or 2 mutation positive, because you can determine early on that it's almost inevitable that you're going to get prostate cancer. And if we can pick it up early, your chance of survival is almost 100% at 5 years and about 98% at 10 years. So the take-home message is prostate cancer is not the death sentence. It's probably one of the easiest cancers to treat if we pick it up early. You don't even necessarily need surgery. If we do surgery, it can be done minimally invasively. You can be in and out of hospital within a day. We can do outpatient procedures where you can be cured of prostate cancer in an hour without any recovery and be home in 2 hours. So this whole concern that you're going to be recovering for months on end, it's going to affect your quality of life, it's going to be a painful ordeal. Prostate cancer is very easy to treat, and if we pick it up early, your chance of cure is almost inevitable. So at least 90 men die in this country of prostate cancer, and it can be preventable.
All right, let's talk about that then, because of course, I'm sure there are many watching the show who would know some of that 90 who've died of it. You mentioned coming in, of course, to do screenings maybe early on. That's one way that we can treat it. But are there, with other things, we talk about lifestyle choices. Is this one of those things that's impacted in any way by lifestyle, or is this something that's just automatic and therefore, what you eat, what you drink, how you exercise doesn't really matter?
Well, with all cancers, it's related to first your body habitus, your body mass index. If you're obese, whether you have breast cancer, cervical cancer, or prostate cancer, or colorectal cancer, your chance of survival is less if you're obese. So the healthier you are in terms of exercise 3 times a week, in terms of your intake of healthy foods, you don't want to have too much in the way of saturated fats. We talk about charred meats, reduced red meats. You don't want to have a high dairy intake. So why, if, for example, do African American men have one of the highest incidence of prostate cancer in the world? A lot of it is related to genetics. It's related to race, but it's also related to poor lifestyle choices, sedentary lifestyle, and poor diet. Asian men have the lowest rate of prostate cancer, and a lot of it is related to their diet. They have a lot healthier diet than men of African ancestry or Bahamian or Caribbean men. There is a drug that's wonderful. It's called finasteride or dutasteride. It's called a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. It has many benefits. It's widely used to help men who develop benign enlargement of the prostate, BPH, empty their bladder, not wake up 5 times in the night to urinate, have a stronger flow. It also has a benefit. It can reduce your chance of developing low-risk prostate cancer by as much as 25%, which is extremely important. So it has the benefit of improving your urinary stream as you get middle-aged and older, help you empty your bladder so you don't wake up too much in the night to urinate. You don't have that urgency to urinate. And it also can reduce your chance of developing low-risk prostate cancer by as much as 25%. It also comes under the drug called Proscar, which is used to treat male pattern baldness. So if you can keep your hair, you can have yourself having a good night's sleep from not peeing all night, and you can reduce your chance of developing low-risk prostate cancer by 25%. It's a wonderful drug that a lot of men, particularly in the high-risk group, should be taking. Okay. There's a lot of evidence and strong evidence that ejaculations, as many as 21 a month, whatever way that form takes, can significantly reduce your chance of prostate cancer by 20-25% as well. So that is also something men can use with their partners to say, you know what, 21 ejaculations is necessary for me to reduce my risk of prostate cancer.
I think there's a man watching the show right now who are very happy for that information, Dr. Pinto. And speaking of that, though, there are some men who kind of seem to be afraid to go and get checked out in fear that if they do find something, it's going to limit their ability to interact in a sexual way with their partner. Do you have any commentary on that? And then how is that kind of resolved from doctor to patient care?
If we can pick it up early, the chance of your erections being the same and after treatment are almost 100%. So the earlier we can pick it up, if we can pick up when the disease is confined to the organ, when it's away from the nerves that run in the pelvis that allow you to get an erection, gives feeling to your penis. If that can be spared because the cancer is very low volume and early and confined, your chance of cure plus maintaining your erections is almost 100%. And as I said, you don't even necessarily need surgery to cure prostate cancer. So that's a big misconception. Mm-hmm. Do not have that fear of a huge painful ordeal to cure your prostate cancer. We can cure your prostate cancer in a minimally invasive procedure, even in an hour. On a Saturday, you can be back to work. On a Monday, you can actually go to church on the Sunday, the day after.
Okay. And so, Dr. Pinto, one more thing, since we're on this subject of, the 21 times per month, condom use, does that have any impact on prostate cancer at all? And is that something that men should be considering even as they try their best to mitigate this?
Yes. So in fact, there are certain sexually transmitted diseases that several studies have shown can increase your risk of prostate cancer. That includes HPV, particularly type 16 of HPV and gonorrhea. So just in general, I always advocate, and it's common sense, you want to have safe sex. You don't want to have unwanted pregnancies. You don't want to be afflicted with HIV, obviously. And then there's not a lot of talk about it, but HPV can be harmful, not just to the men in terms of developing penile cancer and other cancers such as prostate cancer, but it can be spread to your loved one and significantly increase the risk of your partner developing cervical cancer. So yes, please wear a condom for your general well health, for the health and well-being of your partner, and to reduce the chance of not only prostate cancer, but penile cancer.
Excellent. All right. Well, Dr. Pinto, thank you so much for joining us this morning. A great conversation, understanding that there are some certainly genetic factors that impact this population. But certainly if we would take a look at our healthcare and lifestyle, which is what we always talk about here on Bahamas and Sunrise, and then come in and see you, a doctor like you, as early as possible, we could avoid a lot of the heartache that we see as a result of prostate cancer. Thanks again for joining us this morning on Bahamas and Sunrise.
Much. Take care.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We've been talking with Dr. Gregory Pinto. He's from Urology Care Bahamas. Of course, they specialize in some of those outpatient procedures that get you back to work as soon as possible. And we're grateful that he joined us this morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Mental health is health too.
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 Are you tired of electrical surges destroying your appliances and always sweating in the dark? Contact HCW Electronics Limited. Since 1989, we have been in the business of providing the power to keep businesses in business. We specialize in sales, installation, and repair of UPS systems for computers, whole building surge arresters, batteries for UPS systems and solar systems, automatic voltage regulators, solar systems, buck.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Thank you so much for staying with us on this fabulous Friday. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
And I'm Philip Simon Starr. You know, I am always glued to the screen.
When Dr. Pinto comes on? Yeah.
Dr. Pinto. So it's an interesting morning, and you see how these things are tying together, right? We're talking about lotto, and maybe 21 is like a lucky number. I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah, I don't see anything that ties together, Phil. So I'm watching you go for it. And, you know, if you say so, Phil. Okay. If you say so, we can go with that. But no, it's exciting to be having that Bahamian game show. And I love the idea of just incorporating more of the Bahamas, hearing more about, you know, our islands mentioned rather than New York or Miami. And so looking forward to seeing what Ashwin has done. My friend Desante is a marketing genius. So I love to see her mind work and the way that she brings things to life. So that should be pretty fun. And then the conversation with Dr. Pinto is so important, Phil. If we are predisposed to something in this population, then we have to figure out what are the best ways that we can mitigate these risks with the things that we can change. And again, Phil, it always seems to come back to lifestyle, right? And this time it's not just the food that you're putting into your body, but where you're putting your body, what you're putting your body into, right? So the need for condoms and protection, the need to make sure that you are taking good care of yourself, not just in terms of the food, but physically getting your checkups, that sort of thing. So great conversations this morning.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Serious conversation. Of course, we have fun here in Bahamas at Sunrise, but all of the subject content is great content. Again, I endorse that fully. Looking forward to that entertainment, man. Bahamian, this week hangs, right? I mean, I think I'm going to be logged in next week Wednesday. But we've got more to come, Star. More to come in the second half. Rheumatologist Dr. Neil Park is here to talk with us about Arthritis Awareness Month.
Really looking forward to that conversation. I really, really am. And I'm also looking forward to speaking with Gowan Bowe and Hubert Edwards this morning. We're going to be talking about the debate that happened in the House of Parliament this week, and then it moved on up to the Senate as we take a look at the budget and determine what our future is going to look like in the future of my children, certainly based on, you know, some serious times. And so all of that is going to be ahead for you and so much more, Phil.
Yeah, so much more. But Godfrey Burnside is here to give us our second look with weather at Sunrise. Godfrey, we miss you, man.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. What's first for you comes first for us.
Thank you, Charlene. Good morning, Bahamas. Yes, second look at weather at Sunrise. The tropics remain quiet, and the tropical storm formation expected during the next 5 days. The local scene, high pressure continues to be the dominant feature across the islands, then with some dry but very hot conditions. In the marine forecast today, winds east to southeast at 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over the northwest Bahamas, with 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Saturday, those winds become southerly at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. On Sunday, the same, southerly at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 15 knots, sea 2 to 5 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Your tides. You can expect a high tide at 9:59 this morning. Next low tide at 4:04 this afternoon. High gain tonight at 10:30. Sunset 7:52 this evening. Rising tomorrow 6:21. UV index 9. Your water temperature 75 degrees Fahrenheit. honeymoon phase, full moon. Extended up, lovely weekend still weather-wise, lots of sunshine, one or two little showers, but for the most part, we have a moist and stable air mass and move into the islands on Monday, and they'll create some cloudy skies with showers and your possible thunderstorms Monday through Thursday. The temperature daytime will be in the upper 80s daytime and the low to mid 70s at nighttime. So that's what's wrapping up fun. Look at weather sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. As we all now know, May is Arthritis Awareness Month, a condition that affects 1 in 4 adults. I don't know if that statistic is here in the Bahamas, but here to talk with us about this and tell us more is Dr. Neil Parker, rheumatologist, Arthritis and Rheumatology Care, Bahamas. Dr. B, good morning. Welcome back to the show.
It's good morning. How are you doing?
I'm okay this morning. I made it through the week. Looking forward to another work weekend.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good. So this is one of those things, one of those subjects that we hear about it all the time. We talk about joints, we talk about bones. It sounds as though it's a common thing. Is that statistic actually prevalent here in the Bahamas? 1 in 4 adults suffer from arthritis?
Well, what I can say that it is certainly very common. I don't have the numbers precisely, but arthritis is a condition, well, generally there are 2 types of arthritis, and largely there's the degenerative type of arthritis. We're talking about what you call osteoarthritis, and then we have inflammatory arthritis. Degenerative arthritis is by far the more common condition. It increases with an incidence with age. People think of it as a male disease, but ironically, females have a higher risk of it. And certainly things like obesity or previous injury can increase the risk of arthritis. And generally speaking, it affects the weight-bearing joints, osteoarthritis, the spine, the hips, the knees, certain joints in the hands. But it is a very, very common malady. A lot of Bahamians do struggle with arthritis. That's correct.
So how do you know you have arthritis? I mean, arthritis is simply put pain in the joints? I mean,
well, that's a very good question, because arthritis can be present on X-rays and not cause problems. Whereas patients may have very mild arthritis on X-ray, but have severe pain. So it varies from patient to patient, and ultimately it is a subjective measure of the patient's experience of pain and also instability, because many patients will experience unstable joints where they will tell you that they feel that the joints are wobbly, or that they feel as if they're going to fall when they put weight on their leg, which is because the arthritis, whether it causes pain or not, undermines the entire joint, including the structures above and below, the muscles and the tendons, essentially resulting in laxity and instability.
Okay, so those would be some of the risk factors associated with it.
Yeah, the risk factors and the symptomatology, the pain and instability.
All right. So if any of those symptoms that you're feeling, the pain, etc., you get a diagnosis. Obviously, you go to a doctor. You express what is happening. You get a diagnosis, and if it happens to be arthritis, what are some of the treatment options for persons who are suffering from it?
Well, treatment options. Firstly, there are things that patients can do. Obviously, one of the big things with arthritis is you want to try to lose weight to unburden the joint. Also, the fatty tissue is essentially inflammatory, and it is thought that can actually drive the condition. There is pain management, starting with your basic over-the-counter remedies, Tylenol, Panadol. You also have things like anti-inflammatory medications. Depending on the joint, you can actually intervene. There are things that can be injected, such as steroid or what you call visco supplementation. And in today's world, regenerative options like platelet-rich plasma or even stem cell modalities can be employed. And in the worst case scenario, you can replace the joints. But I should also emphasize that physiotherapy is also a highly effective weapon in our arsenal against the pain and disability associated with arthritis, because many patients can improve with the right regimen.
with the right regimen. You have all of the folklore and the tales, and talk about cold weather and the impact that it has. I don't know if these things are actually true, but as it relates to foods or liquids or drinks that we intake, can they impact or make worse somebody's arthritis?
Well, again, that would depend on the arthritis. For example, the patients with inflammatory arthropathies, in particular rheumatoid arthritis, would benefit from a vegan-like diet, on substituting red meat for fish, fatty fish, eliminating pro-inflammatory foods like refined carbohydrates, white sugars, red meats, things of that nature, and including things like olive oil and green leafy vegetables. And some patients actually will tell you that they can identify foods which trigger the arthritis. I often hear patients identify things like ketchup and sweets as things that worsen the arthritis. And even though nightshade vegetables are thought of as anti-inflammatory, in the case of rheumatoid arthritis, things like tomatoes, sweet peppers can indeed drive the pain of rheumatoid arthritis. So it really depends on the patient's arthropathy.
Yeah, what about, we're here in the Bahamas, and you got this thing called bush medicine, alternative medicine. Are those things that you, as a doctor, that you recommend, or?
Well, I mean, I cannot tell you that I haven't had a cup of Cersei or Croton in my lifetime.
Right.
Whether or not it's done me any good, I couldn't say. Frankly speaking, what I say is that it all really depends on the condition. I don't advise against things like fever grass and Cersei. If those things are on board, I have no problem. What I tell patients is let's strike a deal. Okay. You do your thing.
Yeah.
And do what I ask you to do.
Right.
We'll keep an eye on your blood work and make sure that nothing is harming you either way. And then we go kind of walk hand in hand, because the patients will employ these things. There's no question about it. Yeah. This is a reality.
So then arthritis, is there a cure? I mean, once you have it, do you have it for life, and you're just now managing it till the day you die?
Well, unfortunately, in today's world, both the inflammatory and the degenerative types of arthritis will essentially amount to chronic conditions, chronic progressive conditions. With inflammation, with the right treatment regimen, you can arrest the inflammation and essentially halt the disease and put it into remission. Mm-hmm. With osteoarthritis, what you want to do is treat the pain and minimize the risk factors for progression. You want to stabilize the joint, whether through physiotherapy, through protherapy, through bracing. You want to minimize the pain and essentially help the patient's quality of life to improve. Myself, I'm not invested in disability. So when patients come to me, I'm not a disability doctor. My perspective is I want to return you to your the best life. I'm not interested in having patients lay up. That you can do on your own.
Right. Doc, man, so many more questions. I'm sure that, I know I do, but persons who are watching, how can they reach you? Where can they find you?
Well, you can reach me online at woundcarebahamas.com. I'm currently practicing at Palmdale Medical, and you can Google my name, Dr. K. Neil Parker, and through my website or my Facebook page, you should be able to find information that would lead you to be able to get a consultation, or just find information on what I can do to help you.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Dr. K. Neil Parker. I'm going to ask him offline what that K stands for. Thank you so much, Doc.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
All right, you're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
The sports we play depend on the health we build. So let's stay healthy. Wear a mask and practice social distancing and hand washing to protect yourself and others. Remember, COVID-19 is not a game.
A public service message from the Bahamas Olympic Committee.
One thing, two things, blue thing, all things, things that are small, things that are grand, things that fit just right in the palm of your hand. Fox Hill Nursery, a large selection of garden supplies, If you can see it in your mind, you can find it at Fox Hill Nursery.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Thank you so much for staying with us. I hate to be biased, but I'm really looking forward to this part of the show. I've got two of our resident economists, brilliant minds, people that we love to run things by with us now. We're discussing the 2021-2022 budget communication, which has been titled by our Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Resilient Bahamas, a Plan for Restoration. And here to discuss this, we're very happy to welcome Gowan Bowe. He's the Chief Executive Officer at Fidelity Group, and Hubert Edwards, who's the management consultant of Next Level Solutions. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
It's always a pleasure.
Morning, pleasure to be here.
Always a pleasure to have you both with us. Let's get right into it. We always have a limited time, so much to talk about. So, in your opinion, Gowan, what is the best and worst thing about this new budget?
Well, I think the best thing is it lays out some concepts. And so we have something to look forward to in the wider debate, because I think we put too much on the communication itself, right? I've always heard paper doesn't have any objection to ink, right? So there are things that can be written and said, but the details are what's going to matter. And I think that's going to be important. When you look at the worst side of it, I think we do need to start remembering that there are audiences beyond our local borders. Their audiences belong our constituents. And so we need to start thinking about all stakeholders, including those who hold our government debt, both domestically and internationally. And so I certainly want to see a lot more discussed around our debt management strategy. But, you know, we often say the cliche, we're at a crossroads. The reality is we already passed through that crossroad. There's already been a path that has been chosen for us because of the pandemic. And so we had to do certain things in terms of expenditure, in terms of sustaining the economy throughout. But we now need to really pause, take a look as to, are we going in the right direction? And if we are we choosing the right path? Because are we doing things that will help us to get to the end journey as quickly as we want to be? So I think I would downplay the significance of that initial communication, simply because that only lays, I'm going to say, the groundwork for what we would want to see coming out of the debate, which is going to flush out a plan that you can actually start to say, well, these are the measurement metrics, these are the way I'm going to determine whether it's been successful or not, and be more meat and potatoes, as they say, so that we understand what it is we're trying to judge.
All right, Gowan. So some important points there, and you did kind of talk about this debt concern, right? And the fact that we've got, you know, international bodies that watch these communications as well as we, as those of us watching here. HE, when you take a look at this, we know that the government will borrow 68 million beyond what Parliament approved for its current fiscal year, which ends this month, right? So that's 68 million beyond what they planned last year. Is this a problem, and is there a looming debt crisis that we need to be bracing ourselves for?
I think we have a significant problem here as far as debt is concerned. At this point in time, when you look at the fall off in GDP, I think the economy has lost somewhere around 20% net, if you look at it that way. We're running debt to GDP at around 100%. Really, the debt is almost the size of the economy. And so as much as we borrow in incrementally, we're putting the country in a deeper position. If we just go back to the question which Gowan responded to as what is the best and what is the worst, I really would want to align myself with his view that I think on the worst side is the lack of clarity of a very, very clear strategy as to how we are going to deal with that going forward. Now, if you go through the document itself and also listen to the press conference yesterday, you start to pull things together and develop a better feeling of exactly where the government is thinking. But it is not as clear as I think it ought to be, because when we look 2, 3, 4 years down the road, I think debt is going to be the single most significant element which is going to impact our micro and macro decision. It's also going to be the single most significant event which impacts the way we do fiscal planning. In this particular communication, one of the things which the Prime Minister said was that at this point in time, the dollar is as strong as it has ever been based on the level of reserve. Now, I beg to differ, because at this point in time, the reserve that support the dollar it has the highest proportion of borrowed reserve than at any point in time in the past. And so when we kind of drill down at a fundamental level in some of the issues, then there is cause of concern. But on the overall level, I think, in the era of concessions, which have been thrown out there for Joe Blow and the everyday man, and the talk about tax equity and so on and so forth, I think those are some positives which can be built on going forward.
All right. And then speaking of that, HE just mentioned some of those concessions, Gowan. One of the things that the Prime Minister and our Minister of Finance spoke about was this $250 million allocation for small business development. Now, this government has obviously been making a push for small business development over the past few years. How is this going to be distributed? Is it distributed in terms of we're giving you more money for you to borrow and more grants, or is it distributed in terms of the concessions that HE mentioned? Kind of work us through that portion of the debate.
Well, I think he's looked at it in terms of funding, right? And I think the devil will be in the details, in the sense that whether that will be through equity financing or debt financing is not largely grant funding. So it is not a gift based on the way it has been communicated, but we have to clarify. I think sometimes in the Bahamas, we've heard chatter about, well, what are the small businesses and the criteria? So he mentioned concessions for businesses 5 million and under. And I think the challenge you have sometimes is that the Bahamas, we punch above our weight and we get too grandiose in our mindset. The reality is there are no businesses in the Bahamas that globally that would probably be considered beyond small and medium-sized businesses. So I think we need to get away from, okay, who's the small man in this, and say, well, entrepreneurship is going to be to our advantage. There needs to be a very clear cost-benefit analysis, because I think in terms of saying 250 million, it sounds wonderful. That's over 5 years. So if we say 50 million a year, but what is most important is, are we ensuring that we are forcing that money into establishments that have a viable chance? Are we ensuring that these are entities that have a very clear business plan? What I would like to see is greater specificity on what industries are we trying to promote and push. You may call it discriminatory, but you can't boil an ocean. So you can't service all entities, anyone with any idea. We need to start moving back to what was fundamentally the National Development Plan concept of saying, what is the Bahamian identity, or the identity of the Bahamas economy? And how do we start to foster investment in those enterprises that feed into that vision and that strategy? It isn't to say that those who have an alternate path, an alternate business opportunity or idea should be discouraged. That's where the concessions come from. But when we start saying where is government expenditure, it really needs to be deliberate and not try to spread too thin, because when we do that, we lose the potency, right? And we lose the impetus behind it, which is to say that we are trying to develop the next generation of what is going to carry the Bahamian economy. And if we get too broad, we will lose it. So I think in that one, certainly you would hope that under his communication as the Ministry of Finance, where the SPDC sits, there would be greater specificity, and these are the industries, these are the nature of businesses. But I also want to stress the government is the largest consumer. And so it spends a tremendous amount of money just in consuming goods and services. And so we don't always have to be funding and financing entities. If we spend smartly and just provide upfront cash flows, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to a small business. If you say a small business has $1 million contract, but it gets a mobilization revenue of $250,000, it can manage its money without ever having to lend that entity or put equity into that entity. And so we have to be more creative so that our dollar has a greater multiplier effect.
Very well said. Very well said. HE, Darwin mentioned there this idea of going back to National Development Plan, of taking a look at some focused industries so that we're not boiling the ocean. Love that one, Darwin. HE, when we think about the fact that the government has mentioned now that they want to do this special economic zone to target our southern islands, there has been a complaint for many years now that those southern islands have been neglected and they've not seen the development they ought to have seen. What are your thoughts on this? And do you think that it will work the way that the government is intending to?
Well, again, the devil is in the details. Let's use that. The communique itself must not be overstated. It's difficult for one to go through a communication of 2 or 3 or 4 hours and understand fully exactly what is there. But in concept and in principle, the idea of developing the family island, the idea of recognizing that there's significant potential, because I believe that the Bahamas is in many ways underdeveloped and has huge potential. What I think may have been missing in this whole process and the communication, and I've taken some time to really gone through the document and to listen very carefully and to also listen to the press conference. The presentation may not have been careful enough in forming and formulating a vision and say, okay, here is the as-is position for the country. Here is the to be. Here is where we are going, and this is how we're going to get there. The presentation basically said, Resilient Bahamas was last year, and it planted the seeds. And Accelerated Bahamas is where we are now, and we're going to germinate those seeds. And it may not necessarily work out clean like that, but in a general sense, identifying islands, identifying localities which needs development, I think is a good thing. Now, it comes back to a cost assessment or cost value assessment. Do we have sufficiently large population size? Is it worth it to pump certain amount of monies and concession in these areas? Will the spreading of these concessions ultimately impact the quality of revenue that the government will take in totality, and will that therefore impact the deficit? We would have heard in this presentation that the deficit is expected to come in at around 951 million. And there have been some new tax treatment. The Prime Minister talked about being more equitable and being more careful on that. But the changes in that discussion around equity is all regressive taxes. It's increases in regressive taxes. So while the discussion, I think, is in the right direction, the change in the fundamental changes is not there. And one thing I want to just stick in here, even though it's a different issue slightly, one of the disappointments I have with this presentation was that there wasn't a clearly articulated position as it relates to the financial sector and corporation tax going forward. And that is a big issue which I think is looming on the horizon and needs urgent attention.
Thank you so much for that, HE. We do have to wrap up now. I had so many more questions that we have to go, but Gawad, if you could just, for us, HE talked about the fact that we really didn't get into the financial corporate tax, which we kind of need to look at if we're talking about this debt thing. We did see him do some stuff that women have been crying for a while. That's reducing, taking away the ban on baby and adult diapers, sanitary pads, etc. for women. But they also did some increase in taxes as it relates to, Airbnbs and real estate. As we take a final look at this today, is it enough? Is it enough to have reduced those things in those areas, to increase some things in areas like real estate? Or are we still a very long way away from where we need to be?
I'd call it as chipping away at the edges as opposed to taking a whole, blowing up what we have and starting afresh, planting, new foundation and building a new corporate structure, building a new personal structure. When we look at where we need to go, we have a tremendous amount of threats coming at us. And so I would say those little things, I would probably have taken the view. I wouldn't even have listed those. Those would come out in various conversations. I think to Hubert's point, I agree that, and I've said for a long time, we need to start real tax reform by saying, what is it that will allow us to, one, equitably distribute the tax burden? And we hear them talking about, putting it on those who have the ability to pay. Well, we need to be more fundamental in that one and make sure that it isn't on one or two, but is across the board. Secondly, at a level that will allow us to sustain the need for social services and the claims on the government, because we've always run deficits and we've not gotten ourselves to a point of being able to break even and have surpluses in that regard. And then thirdly, to allow us to be competitive. So if we use just those three principles, that it is equitable, it is going to service our needs, and it is going to make us competitive, what we have now don't tick any of those boxes. So in reality, that's why I said we are past a crossroad. We need to now say the GPS is saying you're going in the wrong direction, make a U-turn, and let's start going in the right direction.
Oh man, Garwood Bowen, Hubert Edwards, always a great conversation with both of you. I appreciate your authenticity and your realness, and the fact that you guys pull no punches and you share the truth with us. It always gives me comfort and helps me to ask the question, what is it that I need to do to make sure that we are going along the path that we need to? So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise.
Always a pleasure.
Welcome. Always a pleasure being here.
You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
The COVID-19 pandemic demands the most modern techniques and highest standards of sanitizing to ensure the safety of schools, businesses, churches, and of the ones we love. Treeline Divine Professional Sanitizers offers state-of-the-art electrostatic technology, providing maximum efficiency and coverage to protect your environment and preserve your health against mold and 99% of bacteria and viruses, including COVID-19. With pricing to match your budget and standards to meet your highest expectations, we invite you to contact us for a free analysis of your weekly, monthly, or single-use needs. COVID-19's impact is strong, but our commitment to restoring your safety is even stronger. Treeline Divine Sanitizing. Spread confidence.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Bahamas at Sunrise. Listen, man, two heavyweights. I could only just kind of absorb all of that stuff. I almost pulled out a pen and paper. You can't boil the ocean. And if you ain't know where you're going, how you can know when you reach?
That's yeah, they missed that one. I wouldn't give that one to us when you guys were not with us. But I love talking with them, Phil, because they open your eyes to certain things. And Phil, we have a lot to work on. I think that's all we can do at end the show. We each have a lot to work on to get this country to where it needs to be. And that's that. So thank you for joining us this morning on Bahamas at Sunrise.
See you on Monday.